Have you ever tried to access a file from a shortcut and received an error that the file is no longer available? What do you do? I'm Bryan Longworth, host of A Faster PC Live Technical Support, and coming up next, I'll actually show you why this happens and steps you can take if you get this error message. If you haven't done so yet, please click the like button, click subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when we release new videos. And I did want to actually go over, we have a client that one of our YouTube listeners actually did have a question. And so we're going to, and this is one way, you can ask your question in the comment section of our live videos. But we did actually have a, one of our users did have a question. And what he's saying is that when he goes to click on certain files, he gets a message that a computer is not on when he goes to click. So what we're going to actually do is we're going to actually just go over and show you what is happening on this. So when you go and access files, those files are referencing a certain path. And I'm going to share my screen so that you can actually see this. And I'll actually pull up his comment here also, just so you can have it. I may not read exactly the comment because I don't want to. I don't think it'll disclose too much. But he says sometimes when I click on a document file or some shortcuts on my desktop, I receive the following message: can't open this file. Make sure John-Personal is running on your PC, and then try again. So really what's happening here is that the computer is being accessed from, or the file is being accessed from a network share. And it could be that there's more than one computer. I think this particular user's name is John, but it could be that there's more than one computer named John in the house or in the office. And so what I'm going to do is just go over here first of all to the Windows Explorer. And the Windows Explorer is going to have various files. These are files that on my computer that you'll see, files that have been opened recently, and you'll actually see the various shortcuts here. Now these shortcuts, the view that I have on, let me see, the view that I have on is tiles, and I also have detail. So the detail will give a little bit more information about where the path is. But these are just shortcuts. They're not actually where the file is, because I haven't navigated to that file. This just shows real quick how you can actually find files that you have accessed recently, because they know that files that you've accessed recently, you're more likely to actually access those in the future. If you're working on a project, maybe you're working on a letter, you're working on a maybe there's a picture that you're editing. You see I'm doing a lot of audio and video work. I have various JPEG files that I'm working with to make thumbnails for YouTube, for our YouTube videos. And so those, and for our church, and our audio files for our church, and also audio and video files for our business, and sometimes video files for our church as well. But you see, if I were actually accessing a file from the network, so if I click on network here, and right now you see that my network discovery and file sharing are turned off. I'm not sure exactly why they're turned off. What can happen is sometimes when you change your network settings, it will actually, Windows will default, it'll actually ask you if you want to allow network files in sharing. And if you don't say yes, then it actually automatically by default turns it off, which, by the way, does protect your computer. In the old days, your computer would just be open automatically when you connected to a network, and other people on the network could automatically start seeing your computer. And if you didn't have depending on your sharing settings, they might be able to see files on your computer, and those might be people that you don't want to. You might even be in a coffee shop or something like that. You want to really protect your data. So what happens if you do want to actually access files on the network, maybe you would never want to trust a network at a coffee shop or an airport or a hotel or McDonald's or something, another fast food restaurant or something like that. But if you're in your office, if you're in your house, it should be safe to actually trust that. So what we can do is click on that little bar at the top and click on Turn on Network Discovery or File Sharing. So what this is doing, and so this is going to say, it's going to ask us here whether we want to turn on network discovery for all public networks. That would be dangerous, by the way. You would never want to do that, because that would mean that when you go to Starbucks or you go to a hotel or you go to an airport, by the way, not everyone that's there is honest and has your best interest in heart. And in fact, hackers visit these places and install devices that will capture keystrokes. So it's very important that you want to make sure that you do not actually ever share information. And when you're in a public location like that, never type a username and password unless you're connected to a VPN or another type of system that will encrypt your data. Because otherwise the hackers could actually capture that information. But I'm going to answer no here. No, make the network that I'm connected to a private network. Network discovery and file sharing will be turned on for private networks such as home and workplace. So I'm going to click that. And so this makes this a private network. Now you see my computer here. Now if I click on my computer name, and you see I actually haven't shared any folders, so nothing's going to show up. But if I shared a folder, and in fact I could even do that. Let me see. Let me go out to my D drive, and I'll actually just create I think this temp folder doesn't really have anything in it of pertinence. So I'm going to actually right click on that temp folder, go up to properties and left click, and I'm going to share this folder. So let's see. We're going to go in here into the sharing tab. I just right clicked on it, went to properties. Now I'm going to share, and I can share this with one username. I can add other usernames if there's other usernames. I'm just going to share it with mine. I'll have read and write. I could just have read. I could even remove a sharing there. So what I'm going to do though is I'm sharing this, and then once that finishes sharing, then that folder should actually show up here in this list. And I should be able to go into that temp folder. Now, if I went into that temp folder and I accessed a file in that temp folder, then that temp folder would actually show up in the list of let's say it would show up in that list of current files. So let me actually just launch another window, another Explorer window. And so if I had opened a file, then it would actually show up in that list. Now, if my network status changed to where like mine did, and by the way, sometimes when your router turns off and back on, you can actually get a situation where where actually your network is switched to a public location, and then that path would not be available. So if that path is on your own computer, then that's one reason that path would not be available. in addition to that, you also could have, if that path is on another computer, let's say there's another computer in the house or in the business, well, what could happen is you could actually go out and what you would see is from that path, if that computer weren't on, you wouldn't actually be able to access that file. So that's something that you would want to actually take a look at and see. If those files are on your computer, you might want to just access them from the location of the computer as opposed to the network share. Also, if they're on another computer, you would just want to make sure that that other computer is on, and that other computer has the network path is set to allow, set to a trusted network path, so that it actually allows connections. And then also, you have username and password authentication between the two computers that allow those files to be shared. And so you could actually get in there and access those files. So those are some ways that you can actually share files and access those files. But just whenever you see that, the path, like right over here, most of these files are coming from my OneDrive, because I actually have done a lot and it's interesting that, I haven't even opened these files, since we just, when we just came up here, different files were up here in this list. So I'm not sure exactly why it's listing this a little bit differently than it did just a little bit ago. But these are files that I have accessed in the last few weeks, and it's okay. They might be sorting them just a little bit different. And it does say that some of these files were actually accessed. So maybe my computer was doing some sorting or indexing or something like that. And while I was going through here, it actually, the files actually were updated or accessed, and so they show up in a little bit of a different order. But you see here, this is my OneDrive, and I also, if I were to scroll down, I would see some other files that may be available in some other locations as well. But that's really what's going on here. Is really what's happening is you access the file from a network path. That network path may not always be available, and if it's not always available, then you would get that message. And again, if that file is on your computer, you may want to access it directly from the C drive or the D drive, wherever that file is located. I hope you've liked this video, that you've learned something. If you have, click the like button, click subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when we release new videos. And remember, when you have computer problems, you need a faster PC.